guys, it is April from Getting Hygge With It. Today I wanted to share with you the books that I have DNF'd so far this year. I've got 4 to talk about. Let's get into it. So I have not read a great many books this year. Last year I read something like 90 something books, which was crazy good. This year I'll probably be on track to read like 52. That's my goal. So the fact that I've already had 4 DNFs, and I could think of several that I should have DNF'd, does not say much for my reading year so far. However, I do want to share these 4 with you. Some of them I DNF'd just because they weren't for me. Some of them made me angry. One of them I've been hiding from you guys for a long time, and I haven't mentioned it because it's a major booktube darling book that I have DNF'd. So I'm going to keep that one for last because, I'm so scared. Anyway, let's just begin. So I've got my sparkling water with pomegranate seeds in there. It's my drink of choice as of late. Let's begin with book number 1. This is not in chronological order. This is actually the book that I've most recently DNF'd. So you'll see me talk about this in my June wrap up. But I DNF'd 6 Weeks. This is science fiction. A lot of people have really liked this book because it's like a thriller set in space. And it's about a group of people who wake up and they're in this time where basically everyone is a clone. So basically they transfer your memories and everything in your brain from one body that might be old, and they switch it over into a new fresh body that looks just like you, but is younger and healthier. Well, usually when you wake up, you remember everything. They wake up and they don't remember anything. And they also wake up and see a bunch of blood around. Like, this is not gone to plan. The cloning and all of that had not gone to plan. And I was so excited for this. Like, cannot tell you how excited I was when I found this at a Value Village. But sadly, it didn't work for me. I did listen to some of it on audio. And it's the author herself narrating it. And that often does not work for me, and that did not work for me in this case as well. But what really tipped me off was, or didn't sit well with me, was the comedy. So this is riddled with jokes in places that just wouldn't happen. If you woke up to basically a murder scene and you didn't know what had happened and you can't remember anything, the last thing you'd be doing is making little jokes about the situation, and it was riddled with them, and it drove me completely crazy. Like, thrillers to me don't have those things, and I really was annoyed the entire time that I was reading it. So when I'm rolling my eyes with a book, I know it's time to quit, and it was time to quit 6 Weeks. Another book, actually this book had a major controversy. Well, controversy. A lot of people didn't like that I DNF'd this book because it's a beloved book of many. This is still not the booktube darling book. That's the end. I DNF'd The Storyteller by Jodi Picoult. I also realized that Jodi Picoult is not for me, and I will never be picking her up again. Like, lots of people, after I said that I had DNF'd The Storyteller, was like, try something else by Jodi Picoult, I love her, blah, blah, blah. So the problem was not the story itself and the concept of the story or anything. I know that Jodi Picoult takes situations that are controversial and she makes you look at things from a different perspective. I don't have a hard time with hard-hitting stories that might be super depressing. This is about a woman who has known this elderly man for a very long time. They meet each other in a bereavement group, very close, and finds out that he was a Nazi. Meanwhile, she has Jewish heritage. Still, that does not sway me at all. from reading it. What I didn't like was her writing style. To me was like so subpar. Like I hated her writing style. I just despised it. So I will never read Jodi Picoult ever again. That was a book where I was reading it and I was eye rolling pretty much from page one. It was like every page I read, there was a new cliche thing that was going on, and I was just eye rolling the whole time. And so I was done, and I'm done forever. Like I can feel my like anger bubbling up just thinking about that book. So yeah, I DNF'd that. I also DNF'd The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay. Now this one, I have to say, this is not badly written. I was not eye rolling at all. This is not, it wasn't grating on my nerves, but I just realized this book just was not for me. This is about, I think her cousins. One of them lives in New York, one leaves Germany and is lucky enough to get out of Germany before the complete onslaught of World War II begins, and he moves to New York to be with his cousin and his aunt and uncle, and they create a comic strip together, I think, called The Amazing Adventures of Kavalier and Clay. I was just kind of bored by the storyline, and every time I would think like a scene was going in one direction and I was like, oh, I'm excited, like this direction could really change things and I'm on board, it would not go in that direction, and it would take a whole other twist that I was like, oh. So I had a lot of oh moments. However, I knew that it was beautiful writing, it was good writing, it was just not for me, and that's totally okay. But yeah, I DNF'd that one too this year. But I think the one that I'm really nervous to tell you about, book number 4, I DNF'd The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So I started reading this in January, I think January or February. This was part of the 19 books I want to read in 2019. That list of books has not been going well, like at all. 3 of these DNF books were on that list, I think. So I've kind of abandoned that list because I'm terrified that I'm jinxing those books or something, because I don't seem to be liking practically any of them. So The Secret History is like a mystery kind of story about this group of college students who are studying classical literature and classical studies, and there is a murder. You know that one of them dies, and you're trying to find out why they die. I didn't intentionally DNF it. I put it down because I wanted to read something else. And then since then, every time I thought about picking it up again, I would cringe and go, I don't want to. And that's just not a good sign. It's just not a good sign, and I don't want to pick it up again if that is my reaction literally for months. It was either January or February that I picked it up in the first place. I was really struggling with the characters themselves. Now, I am not someone who needs like beautiful, lovely, you know, heroines that I can follow in my life or anything like that. I can follow some pretty dark and twisted people, but what I really struggle with in characters are like super highbrow people. Like that was a problem that I had with The Time Traveler's Wife, where everything was so highbrow and we're better than everyone else, and I cannot stand people like that in my own life. Like I just don't, we just never get along. Because it's so inauthentic. It's not authentic, and it's a show. It's just a show, and like there's not a lot of confidence there if you have to be like better than everyone else. I just can't do it. I can't do it, and I couldn't do it in The Secret History. I didn't care who lived or died. I just wanted them all to die, really. And I read like 80 something pages, so I gave it a shot. I just could not do it. And I feel so bad because so many people that I adore on BookTube love this book, and this is one of their favorite books. And I think it really is for me just those characters. So this does not mean I am like walking away from Donna Tartt. I'm really not. I have the other two books that she wrote on my shelves. These characters I just can't. I just can't, and so I won't. So those are the books that I DNF'd this year so far. Who knows how many more I will DNF. It's been a weird reading year for me. So let me know in the comments below. Have you DNF'd anything this year? Are you someone who can DNF? Because some people just can't, and they're like, well, I picked it up, I'm gonna see it through. I admire those people, but I can't imagine like putting myself through so much pain. There are also other books that like I read this year that by the end of them I was like, didn't really need to do that. Like, probably regret reading it. I should have DNF'd it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below also if you'd like to see a video of me talking about books I should have DNF'd but didn't, and worked through it. Okay, I hope you guys are doing really well, and I will talk with you soon. Bye! I hope no one hates me too much that I DNF'd The Secret History.